Eli with Night Jiu-Jitsu, and I've got a video today. I haven't done one strictly dedicated to triangles, and I've had a lot of people ask about them, especially when I made one about the first 5 submissions that I think that people should learn, and there wasn't a triangle in there, and people got kind of heated about that. I don't know. So anyway, this one's going to be dedicated to triangles, but I'm going to do it a little differently, so I'm going to show triangles from like a lot of different positions. I'll show some basic applications you might already be using, and maybe you get a detail or two out of that, and for the ones you're not using, then maybe it's something creative you can look at next time you're training. So whenever we get here, first thing, one of the most common ones that I'll use for a setup, that people will use for a setup, is maybe from double wrist control, like this here. And whenever we go to do this from double wrist control, basically what I want to do is I want to punch and pull at the same time. So I'm punching his wrist here toward him, and I'm pulling this one out a little bit to make space for me to leapfrog my hips up. So I'm going to hop my hips up. I want to clear his forearm here like this, and then once I make this bite here like this, I want to hold, I can either hold the back of the neck here or keep on wrist control. This tends to offer a little bit better control here because I got to bite and hold in the back of his head, so it makes it difficult for him. If he wants to posture, he'll pick me up with him. So now this hand's going to drop inside the leg here, and as I go to rotate here, I want to get this leg very close to me here like I'm stacking. And then this knee, I want to push my knee on top of his shoulder over here this way, and then I'm going to bite down with this one, and then I'm going to cross up, and it's a very tight triangle like that. So one more time on this one here, I'm going to punch and push like this here. I want to hop up here, I want to grab the back of the neck, I want to scoop underneath, pull him way up here on top of me, bite down this one. Notice my knees are going to face the same direction as each other. They're not pointing away from each other like this. I want my knees facing the same way. Make the bite here, squeeze, and then there's the finish with that one. Another way that I can do this from guard, this one, I use this a lot, probably more than anything in the gi whenever I'm setting up my triangle. And what I'll do from here is I'm going to hold the material right here behind the bicep on this side. I'm going to go cross collar, so I've got a double attack already initiated on the neck and on the arm over here. I'm going to hip out. I don't like to put my foot on the floor necessarily, but I'm going to open, hip out like this, bring this knee around like a scissor sweep almost, like I'm threatening a scissor sweep. I'm pressing my shin into his bicep, and since he doesn't like that, he'll try to pull the arm out. When he does do that, I'm going to follow here, circle around this direction like this, and then from there, I'm going to finish kind of the same way. I keep the sleeve this time since we're using the gi, and I'm going to spin this way here, knee, again, inside of the knee on top of the shoulder, this way, and bite here, squeeze, and we've got it, right? So again, that's like a shin scrape or bicep scrape one, where I'm going here, shin goes over, presses inside like this here, comes up and around, bites, spin, and then finish the triangle that way. One more from guard is if we can use a modified guard position. This modified guard position, or pyramid guard, or whatever you want to call this, is whenever we get into a position, something like this. And this can be set up several different ways, but the idea is that we get into this position where I'm holding his wrist, my shin is in his bicep here, this foot is coming over like I'm pressing it toward my knee, and I'm keeping pressure down on his shoulder here. One of the few things he can do from here very effectively is try to get his posture back so he can like recalibrate his posture so he's not all bent over. If he goes to do that, whenever he turns back into me, I'm going to open this side over here and I'm going to shoot the leg through, and then there we have another setup here like this, and I can finish the same way we did a while ago, where we spin, turn, finish the triangle. So what's happening here this way, like this, is that as he comes to posture up, I'm rotating the wrist out and pushing it open like this so that I can get my leg inside. Now, it does happen sometimes though that he knows if he turns back and faces me like that he's not going to allow, he's going to give me the opportunity for the triangle, so sometimes he'll hang out here defending and keeping himself safe from that opportunity for me. And whenever he does that, sometimes it's easier for me, if he's not opening that space for me, is to straighten my leg here like this, punch this inside, and then come up and get the bite like that, right? Whenever we get here, now I can spin again and find that same triangle opportunity. So instead of going inside the arm, I'm punching the arm inside here and then going around the outside of it like that. I think a lot of people think whenever they first start to mess with triangles and they first start to learn them from the guard, they get kind of stuck in the rut of like, well, the triangle happens from the guard. But no, it can happen from a lot of different places, and one of the best places I think to catch it from is often from mount or even side control. So we'll look at that next. Mount position, if we want to here. What can happen a lot of times in mount is if he's playing a really good job, he's keeping his hands tight and everything like this, and I'm trying to fight for maybe a bent arm lock, I'm trying to fight for the choke, maybe the choke's not there, then something that's not too hard to do is I'm going to do the same kind of concept, and I want to think about the idea that the mount is an upside down guard. So I'm going to use that same kind of punch pull on the wrists, and I'm going to keep this one pressed to him, and I'm going to step and sit on top of this arm here. Once that happens here, now He's worried a little bit about this arm here like this, but I'm gonna go up to the neck here like this, behind the neck. I wanna post here on the floor, lean my weight over to that side and slide up. As I'm sliding up, I'm pushing this one deeper behind his neck, and this one over here is prying his arm up higher too, like this. So now to finish, I'm not gonna try to turn and square back up with him because that's gonna make my knees face apart from each other. I want them facing the same way. So I'm gonna stay over here, turn this direction, and then look, hook behind here. Keep rotating this ankle forward so it aligns them even better, and then twist to finish off the mounted triangle like that. Now, we have a couple others that will kind of wind us up in a similar position from there. So one of them is from side control. We'll wind up in a kind of a mounted triangle. So sometimes from side control here, I'm thinking about different attacks that I can do. So I'll go from more of a holding, pinning kind of control to more of a attack mode side control. One of the first steps in setting that up is to get this knee under this arm. A good way to do that is to drop my knee down here, scrape this up nice and high, scoop him up underneath me like this, and now look, an arm on that side is isolated. Now, it might be hard for me to just jump back and get an arm lock straight from there. So the next thing I want to look to do is I'm going to isolate this arm over here. If here, he's keeping this arm fairly defended well and I don't have a direct attack on it, then I can go here and I can punch this into his gut, and then I'm going to lean all my weight over on this side and kick over and across this way. And once I kick over and across, now he doesn't have enough room to push his arm back through this way, so he pulls it out this direction, which is good for me because now I come through, this hand that was underneath the head now catches my shin here, pulls it nice tight like that. I turn this way. There's a short arm lock here too, so that I have the arm lock option, or I can go in and finish triangle as well this way. So you have kind of a double, maybe triple attack off of that side control winner. In the same family as the side control triangle is going to be the knee on belly attack to triangle. So knee on belly, I can get to triangle a couple different ways. One way is pretty direct. Whenever I get to knee on belly here and I'm monitoring diagonally across the body, I'm holding here and here on the collar. And so one of the escapes that he'll often try to use is sometimes he'll try to like scoop this arm underneath my leg like this here and then start to push into me and look for this escape here. So if I'm not careful, he's going to get that escape. Now, if I know that's an option for him to do, then whenever he starts to reach underneath like that, then I'm going to take this one here, I'm going to pick it up and then step way across. As I do that, I'm exposing his elbow enough for my pelvis to come underneath the elbow, push it forward here like this, nice and tight. Again, I may have the arm lock option, but if he pulls the arm in to protect it, then I still have the triangle opportunity here. And then we'll go back in, same way that we finished from mount and from side control for that one. Now, a way it's a little more unorthodox, and this is from a good one from the guy who's keeping his elbows tucked really tight, not making any kind of big openings. And again, those are good attacks to have on people like that are playing 100% defense. On this one here, as I get here, he's pushing, he's not making any big openings in his arms for an arm lock attack. So I'm gonna bring this knee inside here, I'm gonna press it down to his belly this way. I wanna step over and across this direction, and as I go to step over here like this, if this arm comes free, I wanna keep the elbow exposed, place the hand on the floor, slide up so it exposes his elbow and opens his armpit even farther. I pick his head up, cross here, knees facing the same direction, finish the triangle. That way, mounted the same kind of finish that we had from the first side, but now we did it with kind of a reverse sitting position. So there tends to be a mantra in Jiu-Jitsu, position before submission. So as long as I understand the position well enough and understand what I'm exposing whenever I go for something, I can potentially hit submissions from bad positions. So one bad position that I can be put in, one of the worst positions sometimes, or one of the most oppressive, is bottom side control. And this works kind of well actually whenever I get here against somebody with this top side control position established on me. And maybe from here, because of how he's established his side control, whenever this arm is here underneath my arm, and maybe I can't get the frame inside, I'm gonna take this arm here, I'm gonna hit my bicep to his tricep, and I'm gonna bridge hard this direction. I have to be careful because I am exposing something, but I am also maybe setting him up for something else. So I go here and I go to bridge hard this direction here. Now, if he doesn't want to get rolled because I'm trapping his arm, he'll base this arm out sometimes here, this way. If I can get him to do this, this is good for me. What I want to do is I'm going to block at the wrist here, and as he goes to pull that arm back, I'll direct it down this way. And I'm going to trap it here like this, and I'm going to block it in here with this figure four kind of configuration like that, where he's in this almost like a short Americana. Now, I may get this Americana here. This is a viable submission here like this. But if he wants to relieve that pressure, sometimes he'll straighten that arm out. As he does, I want to come back for the frame. I want to jump up this direction here like this. I want to reach down here, pull in nice and tight. My bottom leg here, my right leg, is going to pull him back this direction to tighten him up. And then I'm going to cut here and go in for this bottom side inverted triangle like that. So this is a good one whenever the guy is kind of cross-facing, he's got the underhook, and I can get him to base that hand out, set up that short Americana attack, and then bait him into that triangle. And Dustin manages to establish some kind of like scarf hold type position here like this. If he traps my arm, this can be a pretty nasty position for him. He can hold this down, he can make a lot of pressure, and he has attacks from here as well. So the big thing that I need to look to do is try to get this hand free somehow. And if I can look to do that, however I can look to get my arm free and get this to the inside, if I can push this open and make a little gap of space here, then I'm gonna look to feed through this way here, and then I get this far side 2-on-1. Once I establish this far side 2-on-1 here like this, I wanna keep kind of working out here to make a little bigger gap of space. For him, in response to this, oftentimes the guy will kind of like try to pull this arm free. And as he's trying to pull that arm free, he's making more space for me. Here's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna take my foot from the outside, I'm gonna put it inside here like this. And from here, I have a nice like little sweep attempt here, or a reversal. I wanna take this back leg here, I'm gonna figure 4 here like this, and then I'm gonna pull him over and across. So I pull whatever I can get material, I'm gonna take the leg here, I wanna roll him this way, over. Now, you'll notice once he lands, his arm is still trapped with my foot on the bottom here like this. So some of the different submission opportunities that I have from here, once I step across here, I've got the arm bar I can attack, I've got different things, but once I step across here like this, he's very susceptible to me going here underneath, so that it's gonna make it very difficult for him to resist me getting this arm through. At this point, I can let this arm go if I need to, it doesn't matter, he can get this arm free if he wants, and then I step through, and then we wind up in this mounted triangle one more time like this, or I can re-roll, as long as I'm confident that I have the finishing ability from there to be able to roll into that. So that little arm hook and the reversal like that can lead you to a lot of opportunities. The triangle is just one of them right there. If I'm fortunate enough to get the guys back, then I have lots of different attacking opportunities, but if he has a good back mount defense, then he's typically gonna look for the things like across the board as like I am. So he's looking to guard his neck from different kinds of chokes with the collar, without the collar. He's looking to guard his arms, maybe keep his elbows in tight. So one thing that we can look to do from here is, if I wind up in this position, I want to take the back, I want to get here fairly perpendicular to the guy like this. I'm going to look to bug all kinds of different attachments here. First thing that's really good is if I can take this one inside and start to bug his neck and get him to respond here, I'm going to trap this one down, and I'm going to get him to respond by grabbing my arm. I'm going to arm wrestle him for just a little bit here to make him really committed to that, and then I'm going to reverse it here, step this leg over, come back, and then maybe I get the choke here, or maybe somehow he's still doing a good job defending with his arms or whatever. So from here, if he's still defending fairly well like that, then one thing that I can look to do from here is I want to bring my ankle to my hand here this way. And once I can bring this ankle to the hand, I want to sit up and over this direction here, so I roll him onto the side. I'm keeping his arm funneled with my arm pressing this against his head here. I want to hook this here, and then I want to take this behind his back. And now, to finish this, I want to start to scrape my hip out and start to sit up here this way. If I don't have quite enough pressure here like this, then I can be really nasty about it and start to grab and pick up a leg and use this to help finish. That's a good thumbnail right there. And to help finish the pressure of the choke like this. So anyway, guys, I hope that across all these, you know, whether this was like some detail on one of the basic ones or some elaborate setup you've never seen before, that you get some help out of the triangles. If you have any questions about it that I can answer in a comment, please feel free to leave it. Like, subscribe, share, all that stuff. And thank you, guys.